The white lights of Lunar Base Alpha flickered as Commander Jack Thompson stared at the main screen, his weathered face reflecting the soft blue glow of Earth hanging in the dark space beyond the reinforced windows. The year was 2157, and humanity had spread its wings across the solar system, building thriving colonies on Mars and Europa. But something wasn't right. "Sir, we've lost another signal," reported Lisa, her fingers moving quickly across the control panel. "The Centauri listening post has gone dark." Jack rubbed his temple, feeling the weight of the past week's events. One by one, the alien signals that humanity had been monitoring for decades had disappeared. First, it was the distant Proxima broadcasts, then the mysterious pulses from the Orient sector. And now this. "Show me the pattern again," he ordered, his voice steady despite the growing unease in his chest. The main screen filled with a map of known space. Red dots appeared, showing the locations of alien civilizations they had been monitoring. One by one, the dots blinked out in a steady wave, moving closer to Earth with each passing day. "It's like someone's turning off the lights in the universe," whispered Tom, the young physicist who had joined the base just months ago. His usual enthusiasm had been replaced by quiet fear. Jack walked to the window, his boots making soft sounds on the metal floor. The Earth looked peaceful from here, its blue oceans and white clouds swirling in patterns that had comforted astronauts for over a century. But now, that view filled him with worry. "Get me Mars colony on the line," he said, turning back to his team. The screen flickered to life, showing the face of Base Commander Mary Wilson. The red dust of Mars was visible through the dome behind her. "Jack, I assume you're seeing what we're seeing." The silence. "Yes. What's your status?" Mary's image crackled slightly. "We've lost contact with our outer sensor array. Whatever's causing this, it's affecting our deep space equipment first. The colony is secure, but—" She paused, looking over her shoulder at something off-screen. "Our scientists are detecting strange energy readings approaching the solar system." Jack felt his heart skip a beat. "Can you send the data?" Numbers and graphs filled one side of the screen. Tom rushed to analyze them, his face growing pale. "Commander, these readings, they're unlike anything we've seen before. It's as if space itself is being altered." The next few hours were a blur of activity. Jack coordinated with Earth's major space centers, sharing data and theories. The Europa colony reported similar findings, their instruments detecting a wave of unknown energy moving through space like a silent tide. As the day shifted to night in the lunar cycle, Jack found himself alone in the observation deck. The stars had always been humanity's silent companions, their light a promise of adventures to come. But now, as he watched them, he couldn't shake the feeling that something ancient and unstoppable was heading their way. His tablet beeped with an urgent message. It was from the Deep Space Monitoring Station on Pluto's moon, Charon. His hands trembled slightly as he read. "Multiple civilizations going dark. Pattern suggests systematic shutdown of advanced technology. Unknown force approaching Sol system. Estimated time of impact, 18 months. Good luck." The message ended there. When Jack tried to respond, the Charon station had already gone silent. He pressed the base-wide communication button. "All personnel, report to the main hall. Priority 1. His voice echoed through the corridors of Lunar Base Alpha. As his team assembled, Jack looked at their faces, humans who had reached for the stars and achieved so much. Whatever was coming, they would face it together. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice firm. "I won't sugarcoat this. Something is moving through space, shutting down advanced civilizations. We don't know what it is or why it's happening, but we know one thing. It's heading our way." He paused, looking at each person in the room. Earth needs to know. Mars needs to know. Every human settlement must be warned. We have 18 months to prepare for something that has silenced civilizations far more advanced than ours. Tom raised his hand. "Sir, what can we do against something like that?" Jack's lips curved into a determined smile. We do what humanity has always done when faced with impossible odds. We adapt. We survive. We fight back. Get me a direct line to Earth's Emergency Space Council. It's time to show the universe what humans are made of. As the team rushed to their stations, the stars continued their silent vigil. But now, their silence carried a warning that humanity would have to face its greatest challenge yet. The Emergency Space Council chamber was packed with representatives from every major nation on Earth. The room's dark wood panels and high ceiling usually gave it a sense of calm authority, but today the air was thick with tension. On the main screen, Commander Jack Thompson's face looked down from Lunar Base Alpha, his expression grim. "Ladies and gentlemen of the Council," he began, 12 hours ago, we received our last transmission from the outer reaches of known space. But this one was different. This one carried a message. The room fell silent as he played the recording. The alien voice spoke in the universal mathematical language that Earth's scientists had decoded decades ago. As the translation appeared on screen, people began to whisper, "To any civilization receiving this warning, we were once like you, reaching for the stars. We built wonders that spanned galaxies. But now we face extinction. The void comes. It hungers for the light of advanced civilizations. We fought it with our greatest weapons, our smartest machines, but each attempt only made it stronger. This is our last message before we shut down everything to hide in the dark. Maybe there's hope in simplicity. Maybe." The message ended abruptly. In the silence that followed, an older man stood up. It was Robert Kane, Earth's chief of science. "Commander Thompson," he said, his voice steady despite his shaking hands, "how many advanced civilizations have gone dark in the past week?" 47. "Sir, all of them more advanced than us." The chamber erupted in concerned voices. Council President Maria Stone raised her hand for silence. Her gray hair was pulled back in a tight bun, her face showing the determination that had made her a legendary leader. "We have 18 months, she said. "That's more warning than any other civilization seems to have had. We need a plan." The next few hours were filled with heated debates and desperate proposals. Launch all nuclear weapons at the approaching void. The aliens' weapons had failed. Build massive space shields. No time. Evacuate Earth. To where? Then a young scientist named James walked to the center of the room. He wasn't supposed to speak at such a high-level meeting, but nobody stopped him. His hands clutched a tablet showing complex calculations. The message said there might be hope in simplicity, he said, his voice growing stronger as he spoke. "What if that's not just a suggestion? What if it's the answer?" He pulled up graphs showing the pattern of civilizations going dark. "Look here, the most advanced ones fell first. But there are gaps, places where simpler societies might still exist, hidden from the void." President Stone leaned forward. "What are you suggesting?" "Project Phoenix," James replied. "We build underground cities, powered by simple but efficient technology. Steam power, basic electronics, things that don't create the energy signatures that seem to attract the void." The room burst into argument again. Some called it a step backward, others a surrender. But Commander Thompson's voice cut through the noise. "Listen," he shouted from the screen. "The void is coming whether we like it or not. We can either adapt and survive, or hold on to our pride and die." Robert Kane stood again, this time with a strange light in his eyes. "We have advantages no other civilization had. We still remember how to build simple machines. We know our history, and most importantly, we have time to prepare." President Stone nodded slowly. "How soon can we begin construction of these underground cities?" "The old mining complexes," someone suggested. "We could expand them." "The deep-sea bases could be converted," added another. As the council began to form real plans, an alarm blared through the chamber. All eyes turned to the screen where Commander Thompson was receiving an urgent message. "Mars Colony reports their advanced systems are starting to fail," he announced, his face pale. "The void, It's moving faster than we calculated. President Stone stood, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's future. Then we move faster too. Project Phoenix begins now. Every nation, every resource, every person will be dedicated to this task. She looked around the room, meeting each person's eyes. Humanity didn't climb out of caves and reach for the stars just to be pushed back into darkness. If we must temporarily step back to ultimately move forward, then that's what we'll do. As the council burst into action, the sun set outside their windows. Soon, the stars would begin to vanish, one by one. But unlike the civilizations before them, humanity wasn't planning to just hide from the darkness. They were planning to outlast it. 3 months had passed since the warning, and the world had changed more than anyone thought possible. The old Denver mine complex stretched for miles underground, its tunnels now transformed into the beginnings of humanity's future home. Anna Reed stood at the entrance, watching as another convoy of trucks arrived carrying supplies and equipment. "How many people can we house here now?" she asked, turning to Mark, the site supervisor. 10,000 in this section alone, he replied, checking his paper notepad. They had stopped using tablets last week when the first wave of electronic disturbances hit the surface. The hydroponic farms are at 60% capacity, and the water recycling system is working better than expected. Anna nodded, feeling a mix of pride and worry. Similar projects were underway across the globe. Old mines, natural cave systems, and purpose-built bunkers were being converted into underground cities. It was the biggest construction project in human history, and they were doing it in months instead of years. A loud whistle echoed through the tunnel. The afternoon shift was changing. Workers streamed past them, their faces tired but determined. Everyone knew what was at stake. "Dr. Miller wants to see you in the testing chamber," Mark said, handing her a mechanical watch. "Says it's urgent." The testing chamber was their newest addition, a place where they tried to understand what technology would work when the void arrived. Anna walked quickly through the winding tunnels, noting how the emergency steam pipes were now installed along every route. They had learned that lesson after Mars Colony fell silent. Dr. Thomas Miller was hunched over a strange contraption when she entered. It looked like something from an old science fiction movie. Brass gears, copper coils, and steam valves all working together. "Is that the new computer?" she asked. Tom straightened up, his face streaked with grease but wearing a wide smile. "Better. It's a mechanical radio. No advanced electronics, no complex circuits. Just basic principles of physics and engineering. And it works." He turned a handle, and the machine came to life with clicks and whirs. Through the brass speaker came a scratchy voice, a transmission from another underground city being built in old salt mines under Germany. "How is this possible?" Anna asked, touching the warm metal casing. "We're going back to basics," Tom explained, his eyes bright with excitement. "Radio waves don't attract the void. We learned that from studying the Mars data. It's complex energy signatures that draw its attention. So we rebuilt everything using 19th century principles, but with modern knowledge of materials and efficiency." Their conversation was interrupted by heavy footsteps. James, the young scientist from the Emergency Council, burst into the room. "You need to see this," he said, leading them to the observation level. Through the reinforced windows, they could see the night sky above Denver, or what was left of it. Where thousands of stars once shone, now only hundreds remained visible. The void was getting closer. "We're losing the outer solar system," James said quietly. "Jupiter's stations went dark an hour ago. We have to move faster." Anna felt her hands clench into fists. "How many people are still on the surface?" "Too many," James replied. "The European bunkers are full. Asia's cave networks are at capacity. But we still have millions waiting for space in the Americas and Africa." "Then we dig deeper," Anna said firmly. "We build faster. We've already done the impossible. Now we do more." They worked through the night, as they had for months. The mechanical computer clattered away, coordinating with other sites worldwide. Steam engines powered the drills that carved out new living spaces. In the hydroponic farms, plants grew under simple LED lights powered by basic generators. When morning came, Anna stood in the main hall of what would soon be an underground city. Children ran past her, carrying books to the newly established school. The walls were lined with paintings and murals, art that would preserve their culture. In one corner, a group of engineers taught young apprentices how to maintain the steam engines. In another, farmers tended to crops growing under carefully managed light. Surface team reports increased electronic failures, a runner announced, passing through with a handful of paper messages. Estimated 3 months until total surface technology failure. Anna watched as people moved with increased urgency but no panic. This was humanity at its finest, facing extinction not with fear, but with determination and creativity. They were going back to basics, but they were doing it their way. "We'll be ready," she whispered to herself. "We have to be." The day the Void reached Mars, Earth watched its last digital broadcast. The red planet's remaining cameras showed a wave of darkness sweeping across its surface, leaving only silence in its wake. In Denver's underground command center, Anna Reed and Dr. Miller witnessed humanity's first close encounter with their enemy. "It's beautiful," Tom whispered, his voice trembling as he watched the strange darkness move like oil across water. "And terrifying." The screens flickered one last time, showing the Martian sunset turned an impossible black before going dead forever. The entire room held its breath, knowing Earth was next. "How long?" Anna asked, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "At its current speed." Tom checked his mechanical chronometer. 72 hours until it reaches Earth's orbit. Maybe less. The next 3 days were a blur of activity. On the surface, the last evacuations took place under darkening skies. Cities that once gleamed with electric light now stood silent, their power grids shut down to avoid attracting the void. Only the underground shelters hummed with activity, powered by steam and simple mechanics. James rushed into the command center, holding a brass communications tube. "Message from Lunar Base Alpha," he announced. "Commander Thompson says the moon's systems are failing. They're switching to backup mechanical systems now." As if to emphasize his words, the electric lights above them flickered and died. Emergency steam-powered generators kicked in immediately, their brass lamps casting a warm glow across worried faces. "Begin shutdown sequence," Anna ordered, her voice carrying across the room. They had practiced this dozens of times, but now it was real. All advanced technology goes dark. Now. Across the globe, humanity retreated underground. The last satellites in orbit showed the void approaching, a wave of darkness that consumed light and energy, leaving only the most basic forms of power untouched. In their underground sanctuary, Anna watched through the periscope as the surface world changed. The void moved like a tide of black ink across the sky, swallowing stars and leaving behind an emptiness that hurt to look at. When it touched the ground, every piece of advanced technology simply stopped working. Cars died mid-street. Phones went silent. The modern world ended not with a bang, but with a quiet exhale. "The backup generators are holding," Tom reported, checking the steam pressure gauges. "Simple electronics still work. Everything we built following the old ways is functioning." A mechanical telegraph clattered to life in the corner. Messages began arriving from other bunkers around the world. "London Underground secure. Basic systems operational. Beijing Cave network holding. No casualties. Sydney submarine base stable. Steam-powered functioning." But not all news was good. Many surface settlements hadn't completed their preparations in time. Millions were still adapting to a world suddenly thrown back in time. The loss of advanced medical equipment alone would cost countless lives. "Report from the surface scouts," James said, reading from a paper message. "The void. It's not destroying everything. It's only targeting certain energy signatures. Anything too complex, too advanced. But simple machines, basic electricity, they're untouched." Anna moved through the crowded halls of their underground city, watching as people adjusted to their new reality. Children played under brass lamps while their parents worked the steam engines. Engineers taught others how to repair mechanical computers. Doctors learned to use simpler tools. In the main hall, she found Tom working on something new. "What is this?" she asked, studying the brass and copper device. "A theory," he replied, making adjustments with a wrench. "We know the void feeds on advanced energy signatures, but what if we could understand its patterns, learn its weaknesses?" "You want to study it?" Anna asked, surprised. "How?" Tom smiled, pointing to his contraption. "With this, a mechanical sensor array. No complex electronics, no advanced power sources, just simple machines measuring basic energy patterns. The void might have forced us underground, but it didn't take our curiosity or our determination." As if in response to his words, the mechanical telegraph began clattering again. Anna read the incoming message, and for the first time in days, she smiled. "It's from the moon," she announced. "Commander Thompson's team survived. They're rebuilding using the simple systems. Says they have a clear view of the void from up there. And they've noticed something interesting about its behavior." Tom grabbed his notebook. What did they find? "The void. It has patterns, weaknesses." Anna looked around at the dim but warm light of their underground home. "We're not done fighting yet. This isn't our end. It's just a new beginning." Above them, the void consumed the last remnants of humanity's advanced civilization. But underground, safe behind walls of stone and determination, humanity's fire continued to burn, simpler now, but no less bright. 6 months after the fall, the underground city of Denver had changed beyond recognition. Once bare stone tunnels now bustled with life and innovation. Tom walked through the main workshop, where rows of mechanical computers clicked and whirred, their brass gears processing data without a single microchip in sight. "Any response from the Australia bunkers?" he asked Mary, who operated the telegraph station. She nodded, feeding the new punch card into her machine. "They've successfully tested their steam-powered mining equipment, opening 3 new living sections this week." Tom smiled, remembering how people had called them crazy for building mechanical computers. Now these simple machines, running on basic physics and clever engineering, were humanity's lifeline. A loud bell echoed through the tunnels, the signal for a general assembly. Tom hurried to the great hall, where hundreds gathered under the warm glow of gas lamps. Anna Reed stood on the speaking platform, beside her a large covered object. 3 months ago, she began, her voice carrying through the quiet hall. "Commander Thompson's team on the moon made an important discovery. The void isn't just a destroyer, it's a hunter. It seeks out specific types of energy signatures, particularly quantum computing and fusion power." She pulled the cover off the object, revealing a complex arrangement of brass tubes and copper coils. "This is our first void-safe space engine. No advanced electronics, no quantum mechanics, just steam power, mechanical computing, and human ingenuity." The crowd murmured in excitement. Tom watched as people moved closer to examine the engine. It looked like something from an old science fiction book, brass, copper, and steel working together in beautiful complexity. "We're going back to space," Anna announced. "Not with fusion drives or ion engines, but with steam and mechanical calculation. The void can't detect these technologies because they're too simple, too basic. But they work." As if to prove her point, she turned a valve. The engine came to life with a soft hiss, its gears turning smoothly. Mechanical gauges showed steady power output. "The first test flight is scheduled for next week," she continued. "A small probe, launched using compressed steam and mechanical guidance systems. If it works, we'll begin building larger vessels." Tom felt a hand on his shoulder. It was James, holding a stack of paper printouts. "The lunar observations are getting better," he whispered. "We've mapped the void's behavior patterns. Look at this." The printout showed wave patterns, recorded by simple sensors. The void's movements weren't random. They followed mathematical rules, like a predator hunting its prey. Later that day, in the research section, Tom and James spread their findings across a wooden table. "It's not just hunting energy signatures," James explained, pointing to their data. "It's avoiding certain things too. Simple electrical current, basic chemical reactions, mechanical energy, it passes right over them. Like a shark ignoring small fish to hunt bigger prey," Tom mused. "We're not too weak to fight it. We were too strong. Our technology was too advanced, too tempting." Their discussion was interrupted by a young engineer running into the room. "The Australia bunker sent an urgent message," she said, handing them a telegram. "They found something in their deep mines, something old." The message was brief but exciting. "Ancient machine found in deep cave, fully mechanical, still works, appears to be alien technology, built to last through the void." Anna joined them as they studied the message. "We're not the first to face this," she said quietly. "Other civilizations found the answer too. They survived by going back to basics. But we're doing something they didn't," Tom added. "We're not just hiding. We're rebuilding, learning, preparing to take back the stars." The next week, they gathered in the launch chamber. Their first space probe, built entirely with void-safe technology, stood ready. Its brass and copper surface gleamed under the gas lights. Steam pipes hissed, building pressure for launch. As the countdown began, Tom looked around at the faces of his fellow humans. 6 months ago, they had lost everything they thought made them advanced. But in losing those things, they had found something more important: their unbreakable spirit. The probe launched with a mighty hiss of steam, rising through the carefully constructed shaft toward the surface. In the control room, mechanical computers tracked its progress using simple radio waves. When the first signal came back, indicating successful orbit, the cheers echoed through every tunnel of their underground home. Humanity hadn't just survived the darkness. They were learning to thrive in it. And soon, very soon, they would be ready to reclaim their place among the stars. 1 year after the fall, the first steam-powered spacecraft stood ready in the underground launch bay. The massive vehicle looked nothing like the sleek ships of the past. Instead, its brass and copper hull gleamed under the gas lamps, steam pipes wrapped around it like metal veins. "Final check complete," Tom announced, closing the inspection panel. "The Mercury is ready for launch." Anna watched from the control room as the crew boarded. 3 brave souls who would attempt the first manned spaceflight since the void arrived. Their mission: to reach the silent Mars colony and find any survivors. "Remember," she spoke into the mechanical radio, "if you see any sign of the void, switch to full mechanical systems immediately. No electrical equipment unless absolutely necessary." "Understood," replied Captain Mike Williams, his voice carried by simple radio waves. "We've trained for this. The ship's systems are as basic as they can be while still keeping us alive." The launch sequence began. Steam pressure built in the massive chambers beneath the ship. Mechanical computers clicked and whirred, calculating trajectories using brass gears and punch cards. The chamber's ceiling opened slowly, revealing the dark sky above. 10 seconds to launch, called the controller, watching brass gauges instead of digital screens. 9, 8. The Mercury rose on a column of steam and compressed air, its mechanical engines roaring. Everyone held their breath, waiting to see if the void would notice this simpler form of space travel. It didn't. 3 days later, the first images arrived from Mars, captured by mechanical cameras and transmitted using basic radio signals. The red planet's surface was unchanged, but all advanced technology lay dead and silent. "Movement detected near Olympus Base," reported the radio operator. "Multiple heat signatures. They're alive. The Mars colony survived." The news spread through the underground city like wildfire. The Martian colonists had done what Earth had done: abandoned advanced technology and rebuilt using simpler means. They had survived, hidden from the void in underground chambers. 2 weeks later, Anna stood in the Great Hall again, reading the full report from Mars. They found more evidence of previous civilizations, she announced to the gathered crowd. Underground cities, mechanical machines, primitive but effective technology. We weren't the first to adapt, and we won't be the last. James rushed in, holding fresh data from their mechanical sensors. The void's patterns are changing, he said excitedly. It's spending less time near planets with only simple technology, like a predator moving on when it can't find suitable prey. The implications were huge. Humanity wasn't just surviving. They were learning the rules of their new reality. The void hadn't destroyed civilization. It had forced it to evolve in a different direction. In the months that followed, more ships launched. The Mercury was joined by the Apollo and the Pioneer, each one built with increasingly refined steam technology. They established a network of mechanical relay stations, allowing communication between Earth, Moon Base, and Mars Colony using simple radio waves. Underground, cities expanded and connected. Steam-powered trains ran through massive tunnels, linking communities across continents. Mechanical computers grew more sophisticated while staying simple enough to avoid the void's attention. "Look at this," Tom said one evening, showing Anna his latest invention. It was a mechanical star map, showing safe routes through space where the void rarely appeared. "We can expand again. Differently this time, but still forward." The workshop around them buzzed with activity. Young engineers learned to build and maintain the new machines. Children played with mechanical toys that taught them the principles of this simpler technology. Artists found beauty in brass and copper, creating works that celebrated their new way of life. Surface team reports decreased void activity in Sector 7, called a voice from the communication station. "Third time this month it's passed us by." Anna smiled, remembering how hopeless things had seemed a year ago. Now, humanity was rebuilding, adapting, growing stronger. They had lost the stars, but found something perhaps more valuable. A way to live in harmony with the universe's laws rather than trying to break them. "Prepare the Mercury for another launch," she ordered. "It's time to check on Europa Colony. If Mars survived, maybe they did too." As she watched the bustle of activity around her, Anna realized something important. The void hadn't defeated humanity. It had taught them a crucial lesson. Sometimes, moving forward meant taking a step back. Sometimes, the simplest solution was the best one. And sometimes, the darkest night only made humanity's fire burn brighter. 5 years after the fall, the observation deck of humanity's first steam-powered space station offered a view that would have seemed impossible during the darkest days. Through brass-rimmed windows, Anna Reed watched Earth below, its surface now dotted with the warm glow of gas lamps and mechanical cities that had slowly returned to the surface. "Signal from deep space," Tom called from the mechanical communication array. The Pioneer found something near Alpha Centauri. The Pioneer, humanity's first steam-powered deep space vessel, had launched 6 months ago. Its mission was to search for other civilizations that might have survived the void. Now, its mechanical transmitter sent back an unexpected message. "They found a city," Tom read from the punch card printout, "built entirely of brass and simple machines. Alien, but alive. And they want to talk." The alien civilization they discovered had survived the void for over 1,000 years. Like humans, they had learned to live with simpler technology, developing mechanical computers far more sophisticated than Earth's current designs, yet still basic enough to avoid detection. In the station's main hall, representatives from Earth, Mars, and the recovered Europa colony gathered to hear the full report. Captain Mike Williams, now commander of the Pioneer, spoke through the radio. "They call themselves the Builders," he explained, his voice carried by simple waves. "They'd been watching us since the fall. Our adaptation impressed them. Most civilizations they've observed either perished or hid forever underground. We're the first to actively rebuild and return to space." James stepped forward, spreading new mechanical sensor readings across the table. The Builders shared their research on the void. "Look at these patterns. They're not random. The void isn't just a force of nature. It's more like an ancient maintenance system. A maintenance system? Anna asked, studying the brass gears of their display model. They think it was created by an ancient race, James continued, designed to prevent any civilization from developing technology that could damage spacetime. When it detects quantum manipulation, artificial gravity, or similar advanced energy signatures, it moves to shut them down. The revelation sparked intense discussion. Humanity hadn't been punished. They'd been redirected. The void wasn't their enemy, but a guardian, ensuring that life in the galaxy developed along sustainable paths. 2 months later, Anna stood in the Great Hall of Denver's underground city, now one of many centers of human civilization. The walls, once bare stone, were covered with brass and copper artwork. Mechanical computers clicked softly, coordinating with similar machines across the solar system and beyond. "The builders have invited us to join the Low-Tech Alliance," she announced to the gathered crowd. "We're not alone. Dozens of civilizations have survived the void, each finding their own way to advance within its boundaries. They trade knowledge, resources, and culture, all through technology that works in harmony with the universe's laws." Tom, now chief engineer of Earth's mechanical space program, added, "We've already learned so much. The builders showed us how to improve our steam engines using principles we never considered. Their mechanical computers make ours look like toys, but they're amazed by our innovations too, especially our steam-powered spaceships." The room filled with excitement as they discussed the possibilities. Humanity had lost the stars, but found a galaxy full of friends who had faced the same challenge and emerged stronger. "Launch Control reports the Odyssey is ready," a young operator called out. The Odyssey was Earth's newest vessel, built with knowledge gained from both human innovation and builder insights. Anna walked to the observation window, watching as the massive steam-powered ship rose from its underground bay. Its brass hull caught the sunlight, a symbol of humanity's renewed spirit. They had faced extinction and emerged stronger. They had lost their advanced technology, but gained wisdom. They had learned that true progress wasn't always about building bigger or faster machines, but about finding the right path forward. "Send word to the Builder City," she commanded. "Tell them humanity accepts their invitation. We have much to learn and much to teach." As the Odyssey disappeared into the sky, Anna thought about how far they had come. The stars hadn't really abandoned them. They had shown humanity a different way to reach them, a better way. And humanity's fire, tempered by darkness and reformed in steam and brass, burned brighter than ever before. The end.